Who's introing? Shall I go?
Yeah, crack on.
Cool. Hello, everyone. It's us again every week on a Friday. So you have joined in if you are tuning in on any of our channels, predominantly on YouTube, but also our social medias. We are the founders of 4 companies, which you can see in front of you. So you've got myself, Jack Jiggins, and Ben Richards as well. The purpose of these lives every week is to run through the highs and lows, challenges and tips that we can share that we've encountered in our businesses to give you a bit of a snapshot of what our businesses do. Ben founded an award-winning architectural practice based in Clapham, South London. Quite an extensive team now, I believe 14 or 15 in the team in that business.
Yep.
So dealing with a lot of sales, marketing, obviously operations to get that where that is. We founded a property development business which now annualizes about £40 million worth of developments per year from scratch 5 years ago together. We also built and have been building a surveying business which has been running just under 3 years in concept. We've now got 3 surveyors in-house and deliver anywhere between 10 to 25 surveys per month. And then I also run a property investment business with my brother called Rob Jiggins, where we buy, refurbish and refinance HMOs, and we do flips as well. So quite a broad spectrum of businesses there, all in property and construction, because that's what we love. And the purpose of these lives is to share what we've been up to over the week across the businesses, share some top tips and learnings. There's some really good top tips in today's session, with reference to sealed bids, with reference to assisted sales, how to support valuations to make sure you get the right values, so on and so forth. So stay tuned, ask questions. The whole point of this is so that you can do a Q&A during the live, but also afterwards. And make sure you subscribe so that you get a notification every time a video goes up on our channel.
Yeah, we will comment, and we are looking for comments so that next week we can talk through some of the comments that we get after the fact, when the video goes live the week before. So yeah, do get your comments in, because we would love to kind of get some insight into what your burning questions are and issues that you're having within your own business. So we can hopefully help you address them and how we've maybe addressed them in our business. So yeah, as Jack said, some really exciting stuff to talk about from a property perspective this week. We're going to be talking about some investor meetings where we are on the hunt for about £2.8 million. Jack's going to be talking about an offer that we've made via a sealed bids process. The valuation on our biggest deal to date has just taken place. So we want to talk through the benefits of having a really robust valuation deck to aid a RIC surveyor in hopefully guiding him to a value that is in line with what our expectations are. Not always easy. We're going to be looking at some of the Proptech that we've been discussing, talking about some of our business coaching and mentoring that we've been doing over the last couple of months, giving you an insight into the latest landscaping and works that have gone on in our Sunset Court development, which is 95% complete. Jack's going to be talking about a couple of projects that he's buying through Central Suites, and how assisted sales work. We're going to be talking about filling the business box, and progress on tenants within that space, and then looking at our XP newsletter. So do stay tuned to the end.
It's probably worthwhile jumping in for listeners. We held a competition a couple of weeks ago where we offered that Ben and I would do an hour consultancy for free for someone that shared our post. This live, and we've organised a time to actually carry that 1 hour consultation to look at the business projects, whatever it may be. So hopefully add some insights. That's booked in for this Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, which Ben and I are excited to do. But we do give back, and we haven't got to where we are by not working with people that were ahead of us in our game or even level, just to get a second opinion. So do make sure you get interactive with these lives, because we're open to giveaways and bringing ideas in.
Yeah, good stuff. Do you want to have a chat about our investor meetings? And I realised I've spelled investor wrong, which is
I did just change that, but you obviously crystallised it before. So investor meetings. We've got a video on YouTube about the chicken and the egg scenario. What comes first, the deal or the investment? We're strong believers that the deal should come first. But the investment dating, we like to call it, should always be going on in the background. We work with high net worths, family offices, and corporate or ex-corporate people to work with us. We bring everything. So we find the project, structure it, get it agreed in legals. We then work with investors who want that sort of service where we bring everything else. And we've been challenged with 2 projects that we're buying. One's in North London, one's in Oxfordshire and Tame, with 2 quite big ticket items for us. We actually did some analysis on our total book to date, pre these two big deals, and our average investment to date has been £300,000. I think that's across about 50 to 55 investments. The majority of those are paid back. The others are in progress or kept and retained on a investment model. But from that analysis, we're obviously stepping up our game in terms of what we're raising and the deals that we're doing. And there's many reasons behind that, but we've been working on our process of how we raise that capital investment. It's a bit of a dark art. It's a combination with numbers, consistency, and also how you manage the people that might be interested in investing in you. And all we try to do in our approach is have a very open book, honest and frank proposal at the beginning. All of our investors throughout all of our projects have a live link to our Excel and cash flows as we run through the project. Shock horror, things go wrong in development. And in our opinion, every time something goes wrong, it gives you the opportunity to prove why you're that person to overcome those problems. So yeah, we've been doing the rounds over the last few weeks to close those investments. We believe that we're pretty much closed them in principle. It's never done until the money's in the solicitor's account, but we've been working on that process. I'd love to hear if anyone out there has got a specific process, because I'm quite a process-driven person. And at the moment, we're feeding off a fairly elaborate Excel sheet that we work through, but there's a lot of time that has to go into that. And there's one thing that in all business that should be treasured the most, and that's the business owner's time. So if there's any way we could get more efficient or share what we're doing, we'd be more than happy to. So that's the raising investment. So hopefully by next week, we'll have more of an update on them closing. So stay tuned. And if there's any comments about how to raise investment finance, in actual fact, that's probably the most common question I get asked off Instagram, believe it or not. I don't know about you, Ben, how to raise investor finance. And to give people out there a bit of a snippet and a tip is, we started small. We started with deals that we could do with our own money or family and friends' money. It's a lot easier. They do already trust you. We didn't have a proven track record. We're now starting to see the benefits of having a track record. But in that stage, we started small and proved the model with our own capital in most cases, or family and friends model on smaller, quicker turnaround, less risky projects. When I say less risky, I'm talking about the financial burden risk. It's easier to swallow if something goes wrong. And we've scaled that up because we are very comfortable in the construction place, and obviously with Ben's background in design. So we know that we're more comfortable delivering those bigger schemes, which is why we scaled up. Any comments on raising finance, Ben?
Yeah, I actually had a conversation this week with Catherine. You may be listening, but she was very. She sometimes didn't know where to start, or didn't feel like. Sort of clear imposter syndrome, I would say, kind of about raising, big ticket items in terms of equity. And I sort of said, certainly when you start out, you feel like, because it's like the investment that you need into your scheme to kind of get the ball moving, that kind of the her mindset was kind of the investor has all the sort of power and all the the key to unlocking her future. And the reality is that it takes two. Like, it takes the deal and it takes the investment. Like, you're offering with a solid deal for that investment partner is what they're looking for to place and deploy their cash and their money. So I think certainly when you're starting out in property, you often have that imposter syndrome of, why would they invest with me? And I looked over their development appraisal deck and their spreadsheets, and everything that I saw was really good stuff that they should really be proud of to kind of present to other people and say, look, I know what I'm doing. There's no reason why you shouldn't invest in this project. It's got a great return. We've done our due diligence, and just having kind of confidence in that process. So yeah, it is a difficult thing to do. I think if you do have a good deal, you will always find investment for it. But make sure that you're speaking to as many people about what you do as possible, because you actually never know where the investment might come from. And we've had plenty of conversations where we're just dropping something into conversation. And actually, I know someone that's looking to invest in that area, or know someone that can help you. So yeah, never be too shy to kind of say what you're up to and what you're looking for. Cool.
On to the bank. So we XP viewed a pretty significantly sized bank in quite a local area, because it's still technically on market, and I don't want to jinx it. I won't tell you exactly where it is, but I will certainly tell you if we're successful or not, and at that point. But the process to this bank was sealed bids, and I think there's a lot to be learned in the process for sealed bids. And I actually wrote an article on this, which is on our website, on how to be competitive when bidding. So go ahead and read that article. I think there's 10 or 12 tips in there for bidding processing. But to give you a bit of a snippet, because you're here today, when you are going into sealed bids, you're technically going in blind. We viewed the bank and it was guided at £725,000. When I viewed it, the particular agent selling it said that every bank they've sold for this particular bank has sold above asking. Now, that doesn't really give me too much of an indication. So I want to make sure we're competitive and also have that competitive advantage. Yeah, that's the one there, 10 property bidding tips. There you go. So in this actual article, I talk about a couple of tricks that you can do to help you be more competitive. Obviously, one of the most important things is making sure you've got a comprehensive bidding pack. And that bidding pack represents everything that they may or will need to know. But a couple of tips in terms of sealed bidding, which this one's more specifically focused on, is we always do a really irregular number, so that if we are around the same region as someone else, we haven't rounded it to lose out on that bid, and we sort of get I know it's a small win, but we might get a little bit of a win. So for an example, if it's guided at 725 and we know that bids go in excess of asking, rather than bidding 750, if that's what we're comfortable with, we will bid 756. What that means is, if someone else bids 750, we're not joint highest bidder, we are highest bidder, and that £6,000, I believe the scheme's about 2.5 million GDV scheme, isn't really going to move the needle at the back end. So it's being bold enough to get that competitive advantage. Second top tip for sealed bids, because we were going in above guide, and because that's what we only bid on what our spreadsheet or what we believe something's worth to us. Make sure that's really important on your own merits. Don't follow anyone else's lead or get tied into a bidding war, or even in auctions. Stick to your own numbers, and they're the things that should do the talking. But once you get comfortable with your numbers, sometimes you might think you're overpaying, especially if it's sealed bids, than what other bidders might be bidding. So 5 to 10 minutes before, well, in actual fact, you can do it sort of half an hour before the sealed bid deadline. I will call the agent, break a bit of rapport, call them and say that I'm calling to introduce our business. In this particular instance, I said it's really local. We're a local business and we've got a great track record for proceedability. We buy an asset every 4 weeks. Do a bit of a sales pitch on why you should win this building, and get them comfortable with who you are, because in a minute they're going to see your bidding process and your offer letter. And then once rapport is sort of built, I then go, it would be really useful if you could just give us a rough guide on where you think this might come in at, because we're fine tuning the numbers as we speak. And with that, you might get a golden nugget of information that might make you raise your bid or be a little bit more aggressive, or even better, reduce your bid because you might have overcooked that value of the pack. So what I mean by that is, let's say we were comfortable with 750 and it's guided at 725, and the agent that showed us around said that offers nearly go in excess of what they guide at, but for some irregular reason this building might not exceed guide. If they think around guide is about right, then you might not have to be as aggressive to go in at 750, saving you and increasing your profit margin. So that 5-minute phone call can save you fortunes. So that's exactly what we did. And in some cases, you get a lot of feedback and a lot of help. They can't obviously reveal the other bids because it's sealed bids, but they might be able to give you an indication of how to be competitive. That's how I phrase it. So little tip there for you guys when you're going into sealed bids. Any other questions, read that article or send me a message.
Nice, good stuff. And then third point today, we have, like I mentioned earlier, have a valuation on our biggest ticket item to date. And we wanted to discuss briefly the importance of having a good valuation deck. So what do we mean by that? It's basically a package of information that is going to help speed up the Rick surveyor's job and give him, hopefully, information that he would have spent otherwise, a couple of hours getting. But you're kind of spoon feeding him the information that you want him to see, or her, in terms of the key benefits and pros to your development or investment. This is an example of a valuation deck that we provided to the surveyor for the project we bought in January, called the Old Maltings in South Oxfordshire in Abingdon. And it basically summarizes some of the key financials, some photos and sort of history on the site, typical kind of commercial valuations of what's going on nearby, residential valuations, a quick introduction into our sort of proposals for the scheme, some pricing from local agents if you've already got that, so they've got some clear and up-to-date comparisons from local agents in the area. And what else have we got here?
Yeah, I think it's worth pointing out on those residential comparables, because if anyone out there has been in the world of valuations, the word down val is a very topical word. Those two estate agents that we approached pre-valuation know our products, know what we do, priced it accordingly, because they know we go to a decent spec and a decent finish, and are very proactive in this particular area. And that really held us in weight. When we were buying this site, we had pound per square foot values at 450, 475, which was sort of the market going rate. Both agents came in above £500 a square foot, which anchored us to do what we needed to do. We didn't necessarily need to leverage it all the way up to that, but it gives us that flexibility, which you will need that buffer. It's always good to get an overvaluation and lower gearing than it is higher gearing, lower valuation. So that's what we're trying to position here.
Yeah. So just to finish up on the valuation, we go into a little bit of detail about who we are, some example products that we've created previously. Again, so the valuer's got good insight in his mind in terms of what the end product is going to look like, and it gives you just a bit more credibility. So yeah, that's the sort of benefits behind valuation decks. We feel like everyone should be doing them, to give yourself the best chance of not getting that down val that Jack's talking about. Proptech.
Yeah, I'm happy to go on this one. So Proptech is so for anyone out there not using Proptech is basically technology that brings all of the information you may need into one portal or interface. So picture it like a booking.com. It brings in all the hotels and the room rates and everything all in one platform, and it makes it a lot easier to analyze projects and variables. We have used multiple Proptechs. We've used Nimbus, Landtech, Adland, Searchland, Property Data, CoStar. We've pretty much been around the shops, and the reason we do that is to keep competitive advantage. We're currently using and subscribed to Adland, Searchland, and Property Data, and we feel we get really good value off those. But the reason that I'm talking about Proptech today is because we always try new tech. We don't think that you can log into something and use it for 5 years straight. Always be looking at what other companies are doing, and what other tech might benefit your business best. Remember, you might be their target client, but that might not be best for your business. So we met Adland at the Property Investor Show last week. He's given us a free trial to give it a go. Similar story to what happened with Searchland. We were one of their very, very early adopters. Big shout out to Searchland. We think they're great. But we also use, as mentioned, other techs. So just make you think about what techs you use. I'd be keen to see some comments in what you use and what value you get from it. But we love prop data for really short, sharp looks on sites. Because it's a really easy interface, it's really cheap, so logins are really easy to distribute across the team. Searchland goes to a lot more detail, like Landtech or Nimbus does, and performs more land-led stuff, sending letters in the platform, overlaying constraints, finding sites, creating lists of building sizes and EPCN rating and vacant buildings. and Searchland's much more better for sort of direct to vendor mailing and campaigning. But I'll be keen to hear what other people use. We're constantly trying new things. We normally have about 2 or 3 on the go at any given time. It's currently 3, but yeah, open to other feedback. I know we're actually using probably the underdogs at the moment with Searchland, Adland, and Propdata.
Nice. Good stuff. Business coaching and mentoring. I wanted to quickly touch on this in terms of Jack and I have had, Jack's been doing a couple of mentoring sessions, sort of funding and finding and structuring kind of deals over the last probably year with various people. And about a month ago, we were sort of talking and we'd never really solidified what we offer to people. So yeah, about 3 weeks ago, I built a very quick kind of web page that just kind of got down on paper the types of things that we can offer, a little bit of history in terms of who we are and what we've done and how we can help. And it's actually been amazing even since just building that page and directing people to it. The amount of inquiries that we've now got coming through the door for even our biggest packages, where it's kind of a whole morning with Jack and I kind of building a business plan and sitting down for 4 hours, really kind of taking the bonnet off of your businesses and, piecing them back together and figuring out the best way forward for you. I've got an architect friend that has recently got back in touch after about 3 years to say, he's been building his architectural practice, but he wants to get more into development. And, having seen what we've built over the last 5 years, wants a bit of an insight into that and see how he can do the same thing. So, we're starting to agree a hourly rate kind of consultancy on that basis. And Jack and I love doing this. It's fun. It's really kind of enjoyable to take something that you've never seen before, try and figure out the best ways forward and piecing together the pros and cons and what's going well, what's not going well, what can be improved upon, and really helping to kind of guide people to the next steps that they're looking for. We've still got a long way to go and we learn a lot from other people, but there's also a lot of people just starting out that have seen what we've done over the last 5 years and would love to be where we are now. So it's great for us to try and give back to those people and try and help them any way we can. So if you're interested in that, do go to xpproperty.co.uk. There's a page on there where you can sort of see what we offer and how we might be able to help you. If it's just a 20-minute intro call to understand if it's a good fit, happily get on a call to do that and see if we can be of any help. Cool. Number 6, Sunset Court. We will be finished very, very soon. I just wanted to give people an update on the landscaping because the paving is 90% complete now, I'd say. You can see the red parking bays marked out there, which look great. We've got a lot of the planting, shrubbery, and all the sort of iron railings and brick boundary treatments installed. And we will be relaunching to the sales market very soon with some brand spanking new brochures, and hopefully that instigates a few sales to start coming through the door. We're going to be working with Oliver James of property branding, and yeah, hopefully next week we'll have a draft sales brochure to discuss with you guys and show and get a bit of feedback on. So really looking forward to that. The other thing that we've been doing this week on Sunset Court is snagging. So the internal works are well progressed now, pretty much finished. So we're at the point of now going in and picking things apart. So Tom's been in there this week, walking around with a fine tooth comb and magnifying glass, looking for things that need amending. He's got his blue tape out. All of this blue tape is basically him saying there's something wrong here, or there's some paintwork that needs touching up, or there's some skirting missing here, or all of these types of things. If you've not gone through the snagging process, you need to be very thorough and make sure that your contractor is delivering on what they said they would, and delivering it to a high standard. So this is the technique that we use, basically walking around with some tape, plotting everything in a PDF to send across for them to action and just work their way through this list. So a good 24 pages of snagging items. Definitely isn't the longest snagging list I've seen, but definitely isn't the shortest. But we're really excited to see these come over the line. It is looking fantastic. And I really hope that sales start coming through the door once we get more viewings.
Good. Just before we go into the point 7, Ben, we got a question on YouTube, which is great, and thanks for asking the question, Jason. So you've mentioned, do we have any packages from how we go about investment? So I'll briefly explain between you guys, to you guys, our sort of packages and how we work, but we definitely do it in a more sort of personalized way, and would rather get someone on a Zoom call and share a bit more about business, or even meet face to face if logistically that's straightforward. But we predominantly have 2 ways of working with investment. All of it's project based. So we get the project first, we secure it, it's off market, it's in legals with us. We've already done our due diligence and run all of our numbers and have a financial cash flow and forecast for how the scheme's going to be run. That's run between our team with our technical project manager, quantity surveyor, Ben, myself, and maybe even our financial advisor or broker. But the 2 different types of investment we tend to do, one is equity and one is a loan. So if you like the look of the project and you want to get involved, that you can see that working with us has benefit, the capital comes in, and it can come in 2 formats: on a fixed loan basis, so that it goes into the limited company that's doing the scheme, that's ring fenced, and the investment gets paid back at the end of the scheme on a fixed loan rate. Or you could come on a more enterprising sort of venture where it's an equity piece where you get a share of the profit subject to how much capital goes in from that party. That's a brief explanation to hopefully help people out there understand the 2 different types of investment that we do. Some investors prefer straight loans, some prefer equity, some prefer a blend of the 2. It all depends on your particular scenario. But Jason, I'd recommend, if you want to know any more, we'll take this chat offline and I can do a one-to-one, or Ben and I can do a one-to-one with you to explain in more detail. But good question.
Yeah, if you want to email info@xpproperty.co.uk, we will pick that up and get back to you, and probably have a Zoom call to discuss a bit further. Hopefully I can get there you go, there's the details on the screen.
There it is. Okay, on to, would I get your attention if I said we're buying 2 houses in Oxfordshire for £8,000? True story. So this project on the left is 2 rent-to-rent houses that myself and my brother took on to support a local rugby club. So they're basically 2 4-bed HMOs. It's a new area for us. This is in Chinner. And we were basically proving the concept in that area. So we took on 2 rent-to-rents on a contract. The vendor turned around after 2 years and said, would you like to buy them off me? We managed to agree a price. Because we were in contract and because we got a good relationship with the owner, we agree a value that was less than what they were worth, because we were saving the agent's fee and the hassle of finding buyers and viewings, etc. And what we managed to agree with the bank, and this is possible, if you don't think it's possible, let us introduce you to a broker that can do this. You can actually borrow from banks on its value, not the purchase price. And what that enables you to do is stretch your capital further. I know obviously we're now talking about leverage and where people want to sit from a comfortability perspective, but we are going to turn these properties around and refinance them very quickly. So the loan to value is on a short-term mortgage. So to give you a bit of an example, let's say you're buying something with an embedded discount of £50,000. Rather than valuing on the now purchase price, you can actually borrow against the end value. And as a result, we've also agreed vendor finance. So to buy these 2 houses, I was sent a completion statement, and it's not a lot of capital that we have to put in to buy these properties. So if you are looking at buying something that you believe is below market value, or you want to buy something and you haven't got a massive deposit, try and find something below market value, agree a deal with a bank where they lend on market value, do a valuation deck, like we said earlier in the call, and make sure you get that value up to leverage up. And that is how you can get into the buy-to-let property sector of the market, or maybe even your first house, whatever it may be, with a very low deposit.
Very good. Banger.
On to assisted sales. So we did discuss last week about assisted sales, so I won't go into too much detail about this. But to summarize it for those of you that haven't heard it, it's basically, if you're trying to buy a property, you face stamp duty costs, legal costs, acquisition costs, and then you obviously then have the other costs such as refurbishment, So I'm talking about the non-hard costs that you actually get a benefit back on. So an assisted sale negates you having to buy the property. You agree a strike value with the vendor, you do the works, and you sell it. So you don't actually ever own the property. You're just basically like a consultant, but it's a joint venture. The way that the profit works is you take the gross development value or the end value minus the strike value that you agreed to pay them, minus the build costs or refurbishment costs, and then there's a profit margin which is split 50-50 for the vendor. So you're not trying to beat up the vendor on their price because you've got all these acquisition costs that are lost not on value of the asset, and you're working together to get true value. And just to come on and say this week that we've secured another one, which is actually a 2-bedroom flat. Believe it or not, I met the owner in a pub, and he told me that he's got a flat that he wants to sell and it's in pretty bad condition. Would I like to go and have a look at it? So I suppose a tip there is tell everyone what you do, and you might
Drink
get
more.
coming to you, or drink more. I definitely would prefer the latter. And if you can manage to agree these deals, they're very low investment at the front on your grand scheme of things. So the block on the bottom right is the flat that we're going to be taking on. We're going to relocate the kitchen, so it's going to be a 3-bedroom. The existing setup is 1 bathroom. We're going to convert it to 2. So we're going to take its gross development value to the existing about 380 to probably about 480. We're in quite good capital value areas here in Headley-on-Thames. Nice local project. We'll probably spend about 40k on it. And there's going to be about 30k. So we're probably talking, similar numbers to this one. So if we look into the detail of this particular scheme, we put in 27,000 for 7 months and get 26 back on top of our construction costs. And there will be similar sort of markup and margin. So we're aiming for, almost 100% ROI within a 7-month period. So nothing to be sniffed at, and really good if you're trying to get into property or do a first deal in property.
Good stuff. Cool. The business box. Won't spend too long on this. We've got 7 offices, which are this building that you can see on the screen. And we have filled 3 of the 7 units and are trying to let out the remaining space. Good news this week is that we've secured a new tenant for this ground floor unit on the right hand side as I go down the stairs. And that is a great success. So where we've had a number of viewings recently, the office market does seem to be picking up a little bit, but it's great to get 4 of the 7 now out the door. I can't really understand why anyone wouldn't want to work here. I think it's fantastic. There's shower facilities, toilets downstairs, little kitchenette for everyone to share up on the top floor, ranging from 350 to 550 square feet. So sort of 6-person to 10, 12-person desk spaces. If you are near Reading, along the M4 corridor, this is 5 minutes from junction 11. Do get in touch if you're looking for some office space. We've got 3 more very fantastic offices still to let. Cool. And then are you signed up for our newsletter? If you want to see more of all this type of stuff, tips and tricks, invites to our site tours and our open days, be the first to get notified by signing up to our monthly newsletter over on our website. Yeah, do let us know in the comments if there's anything that's you're really struggling with in your business at the moment, and hopefully we've either gone through that process ourselves or we can have some insight for you to help guide you through. So yeah, thanks for everyone that has watched today. Jack, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say.
All good. We've heard enough of my voices. Thanks for the comments. Good to have you on, James. Good to have you on, Jason. I'm sure we'll pick up a call later on, over the weekend, or you might be enjoying the King's coronation. But thanks for everyone. We really do appreciate questions and people tuning in, and we do get a lot of verbal face-to-face comms about how people are enjoying this, and it makes it all worthwhile pulling it all together and doing it. So really appreciate the followings on this.
Yeah, have a great weekend, everyone. Speak to you soon. See ya.